teased.
I've never eaten there. I've just heard about them.
We ate there, you jackass.
We ate actual food there?
We had bread and a couple appetizers and some drinks and cheesecake.
Freaking when?
You don't remember we had that brown wheat bread that we fell in love with and then we tried to find it at the store?
Sheesh. That shit was busting. Welcome to Hooked on Football, your go-to podcast for everything NFL. Whether you're a lifelong fan or just getting into the game, we're here to break down the action on and off the field. Each week we'll dive into the latest news from around the league, including game recaps, picks and predictions, analysis and insights. From injury reports to power rankings and everything in between, we'll keep you connected to all things NFL. In order to keep up with us, please like, share, subscribe, and follow, because once you're hooked on football, there's no going back.
Welcome back to another episode of Hooked on Football. We've got 3 weeks left of the regular season. Things are winding down. Some big news items. One that just came up minutes ago. The Arizona Cardinals and safety Budda Baker agreed to a 3-year, $54 million extension. That includes $30 million guaranteed. One of the best safeties in the league.
Yeah.
Gets paid.
Yeah, good for him.
I believe he's 28, 29 years old. So might get one more big contract after this one, depending
we'll see.
on his play. But well-deserved. Definitely one of my favorite players to watch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Preseason wouldn't have minded him. I'm happy where they're at now, but
yeah,
I always liked him.
Yep. And then
staying on a crummy team. Good for him.
Yeah. Kind of mid-team.
Mid-team, yeah.
In less positive news, the Lions continue to be decimated by their injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball, although now they've suffered their first serious offensive injury, David Montgomery. I believe torn MCL. I haven't seen any confirmation that it was torn, but regardless, an MCL injury that's going to put him out for the season.
If what I saw was, it had to have been because he's undergoing surgery. So
okay. And then Ali McNeil, their Pro Bowl defensive tackle, tore his ACL late in that game. Yeah. Obviously out for the season. Carlton Davis, one of their starting corners, broken jaw.
How? I didn't notice that while I was watching.
Yeah, I didn't see the actual play, but he also underwent surgery and will be out for the year. He's a free agent this summer, so we'll see if he comes back to Detroit or signs elsewhere. I wouldn't think a jaw injury would affect his contract, but
no, maybe his trash talk, but
he started off the season kind of up and down a little bit, but has been pretty good for last handful of weeks. So that's another tough loss. And then Khalil Dorsey, one of their special teams aces, suffered the same injury as Hutchinson, tib fib.
Yeah,
fracture.
that one I totally missed. I didn't see that one until Monday.
Yeah, that was ugly. Special teams play, so I feel like
was it
probably pay a little less attention.
Was it another gruesome one to see?
Yeah. Yeah, it was nasty.
Glad I didn't.
So we'll see. It's obviously the next man up mentality is one that the Lions kind of live by, but at some point you just don't have enough talent.
Right. I mean, even before these last two, it's hard to say if it was the injuries getting to them or if it was that they played two real good teams, but Packers had scored the most points against them this season, and then the next week Bills obviously scored even more. So
couldn't stop anything.
Hard to say if that's Packers' good offense and then friggin' Josh Allen, or if it's those injuries starting to actually take an effect.
Well, I'm hoping it's the Packers' offense, Bills' offense more than it's the Detroit defense.
Right.
But
48, that's rough.
48?
48 points, even if it's a phenomenal offense.
I thought you meant injuries, and I was like, that's a little high, but
they have 5 healthy dudes left.
Seems that way, but other, I guess, negative news. Devondre Campbell was suspended by the 49ers after his dramatics in their last game. Dre Greenlaw returned from torn Achilles he suffered in the Super Bowl last year. Took back his starting position.
Yeah.
Apparently Campbell wasn't a fan of that, and when I think Greenlaw got hurt, when they told him to go in, he said, "No, I'm good."
When he hadn't been good, so I don't know why he's surprised.
Yeah.
Lowest graded linebacker in coverage. It might have even been player in coverage so far this season. So, what do you expect?
Plus, not that it's all his fault, but their defense has been way down from years past. So, can't be surprised at any changes that they're going to make. And Greenlaw came out, played 3 quarters, and led the team in tackles. So.
Yeah, played real well, even though he was visibly still uncomfy and dealing with something.
Yep.
So, but whatever. Devondre's getting old, and after his attitude when he left Green Bay, I didn't really care for him anymore. So
yeah,
but
we'll see if he can even catch on with another team after quitting on your team. That's a tough one to get past.
After that and poor play.
Yeah.
I don't know that he'll end up anywhere.
Right.
And then I guess still sort of negative. Chiefs released former first-round pick Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their running back, who's showed a lot of promise early on.
Yeah.
And then has just been a real bummer since.
Yeah, I remember back in his rookie training camp, there was lots of positive news coming out about how he was performing. So.
Yeah, I felt like his first season he even played pretty well regular season, but
yeah,
anyone who plays fantasy knows that he's been not good for the last couple of years.
I saw some Lions fans on Twitter saying the Lions should sign him after the Montgomery injury. It's like, if the Chiefs don't want him, if the Chiefs can't find use for him, why would you want him on your team?
Right.
But and then the Baltimore Ravens and Deontay Johnson, who they traded for at the deadline, mutually agreed to excuse him from team activities, so might be the end of his time there. Was a guy that I was hoping the Broncos would target, but he has not caught on in Baltimore.
Which is weird because Lamar's a little bit better than any quarterback he had.
And he was playing decent for Baltimore.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a weird one.
He had just made it into a starting spot in like fantasy leagues, and then got traded, and we're like, oh sweet, he's gonna get even better, but done nothing.
Yeah.
I want to know what that is all about. Is that just because he hasn't been good, or does he have something else going on?
Yeah, I'm sure time will tell.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati defensive end Sam Hubbard, who actually had a touchdown catch in their game this week, got injured on the play, out for the season. Hurt his PCL, which kind of weird because he got up after the catch and celebrated with a spike.
Well, some of those knee things, like Montgomery came back in and kept playing.
Played a whole quarter through it.
I mean, there's been, I guess I don't know if there's been other positions, but there's been quarterbacks. Wentz played on a torn ACL for the remainder of a game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, that's a bummer, especially going out. I guess kind of a cool way, but also a bummer way to go out.
Right. Yeah, Cincinnati still kind of in the playoff hunt. They have to win out and get a lot of help, but yeah.
I don't think they're getting the help that they need.
I hope you're right, because they would have to take the Broncos spot, although I'd be fine with them taking the Chargers spot.
Sure. I just don't think that they'll get enough help, and I don't think they'll win out. So
yeah. And then last serious injury news, Trayvon Diggs, cornerback for the Cowboys, undergoing knee surgery. Sounds like he's out up to 8 months, which tough blow for him.
Yeah. We're creeping into early next season at that point. What did he injure?
I don't know if they
said.
I don't know if I saw a report of what ligament damage or whatever it was, but
and probably at least ACL, whatever else.
Yeah.
Sure. Standard.
Yeah, if they're saying he's out up to 8 months, it's got to be. Says for cartilage and fluid issues.
Oh, I wonder if he was just having ongoing issues, and they're finally in a place where it's like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah,
might as well take care of this now.
I mean, for the Cowboys, they're out, but that's kind of tough. They just got Deron Bland back after being out the whole beginning part of the season, and then lose one of their other DBs. Oh yeah, and Overshown too.
Yeah,
but It's the Cowboys, so we don't care.
Right.
Kind of go ahead with.
And then a couple more minor injuries. Geno, Seattle's quarterback, obviously, knee injury. Structurally, it's fine, so status is kind of up in the air, but something to keep an eye on because Howell was not the answer.
Terrible. Yeah. Which Howell played pretty well for Washington last year. I had him in fantasy, and
I kind of thought he was going to be a dog.
I was considering having him as a keeper in our dynasty league, and ever since, pretty quick decline.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously he didn't know he was going to go in the game, but you always have to prepare like you
always got to be ready.
Are going to play. So not impressed with his performance by any means.
No.
And then the other big one, although he was a full participant in today's practice, Mahomes hurt his ankle, which he's had a history of ankle injuries, none too major, but he seems to get caught up in a pile.
Yeah.
In the backfield.
Yeah.
At least once a season, but
gets lucky.
I guess better now than in week 18 or in the playoffs. So he's week to week. See if he plays this week against Houston. I have a feeling that he will, because the line for that game flipped from Houston minus 2.5 to Kansas City minus 2.5 today. So no official news on that, but sounds like he'll probably be all right. Plus they don't quite have the 1 seed locked up.
Also, since it's the Chiefs, even if they have to go forward with Wentz for a week or two, he'll probably be old Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, they'd still find a way to win.
Uh-huh. Now let's get to Pigskin Prophecies, the segment where we unveil our picks for this week's NFL clashes, break down key matchups, analyze the stats, and make our bold predictions. Who will rise to the occasion and who will fall short? Looks like Jordan had a pretty good week this week.
Not bad.
That was fine. But, I ended up 8-3-5, which brings my total to 76-36-34. And then Jordan was 12-2-2. So he's at 81-28-37. So we're still, overall,
not bad.
Not terrible.
In the 60s, percentage-wise.
But so let's get into a quick recap. We had the 7-6 Rams at the 6-7 Niners, and
was excited. A little excited for that one.
Sucked.
I was not expecting the weather.
No. San Fran was favored by 2.5. We both picked the Rams to win, and
because we've been watching football,
right? Which apparently Vegas had not been.
They just watched them whoop on Chicago and said, "Oh, they're back."
Yep,
because Chicago's really good.
Mm-hmm. And that means that San Fran's good. But boring game. What would that be? 6 field goals. Woo.
Yeah.
LA won 12-6. There was some rain at the beginning, which I feel like doesn't usually affect people that much. But boy, did it affect these two teams.
Yeah. The Rams, coming off a 44-point performance, only put up 12.
Kind of a crazy stat I saw that is not so crazy once you think about it more, but on the surface is wild. That was only Stafford's 8th game with rain at kickoff in his entire career.
Really? I thought you were about to give a stat for games with no touchdowns.
Oh, no. I don't know about that.
Well, Detroit indoor games, so that cuts out half of his.
Yeah, and then also, so there was 8 games a year just from home games when he was in Detroit, and then there's
SoFi.
A game a year at in Minneapolis, so that only left 7 games a year to potentially be outside, which inevitably probably half of those were indoors, so he probably played between 3 and 5 outdoor games a year.
Still kind of crazy, though.
But, and then, obviously SoFi indoor.
Rams are looking good. 7 out of 9, I believe they've won.
Yeah.
Since starting out 1-4.
Looked a
definitely a team that nobody wants to see in the playoffs.
Right. Well, I kind of do, but that's just because Green Bay seems to be Stafford's weakness his entire career. I don't think he's beat them since he went to L.A. and obviously lost to them a lot in Detroit.
Yeah.
He was there for I guess, not a historically bad era of Detroit, but
yeah,
it was the Detroit of old, so didn't win a lot of games. But
you mean to say the same old Lions?
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, Rams looking like the favorite to win their division.
Yeah.
49ers officially done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
A couple games behind, don't have the tiebreakers, so I believe they'd have
Just
to win
lost
out.
Their best linebacker.
Maybe. Greenlaw did go out with an injury.
Oh, that's true. But Fred Warner's obviously their best.
Yeah, dog.
But yeah, no, their window's closed.
They have to pay Purdy now.
It got shut hard. They got to pay Purdy. They got a bunch of old guys talking about retiring.
Yeah.
Debo sucks.
Yeah. By the way, can't complain about not getting the ball and then drop a would-be touchdown pass.
Yeah. Plus
not great.
Another one or two that game too.
Yeah.
So, Debo's
kind of crazy how
no good. McCaffrey's no good. Yeah, it's got to be one of the quickest, sharpest drop-offs.
It's kind of crazy how the Super Bowl, the team to lose the Super Bowl almost always falls off and misses the playoffs.
Which yes, that's a regular thing, but this just seems like all these dudes are at the end of their career, not just like a Super Bowl hangover, because Debo's getting older, lots of random injuries. McCaffrey, I think we can pretty much say he's probably done.
He's done as far as being a bell cow, that's for sure. They got kind of lucky with his health last year and had their chance and couldn't quite finish, but not too much more to say about that game. Not much happened. Kyron Williams still had a solid game, over 100 yards rushing, no touchdowns, but
if you had LA's kicker, you had a pretty good fantasy week.
Not good.
Why can't I think of who that is?
Joshua Carty.
Yep. But
Joshua Carty B.
That's about it for that one.
Yeah. Moving on to Sunday.
Yeah.
First off, we had the 5-8 Cowboys at the 3-10 Panthers.
Ooh.
Carolina was favored for the first time.
1 o'clock slate was boring.
Just over 2 seasons, and now you see why they weren't favored for that long, because they didn't show up in this one.
No.
Dallas won 30-14. Cooper Rush playing pretty well.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Rico Dowdle, right?
Yeah.
The first name sounded wrong when I said it. But Rico Dowdle, 149 yards on the game. CD, 116 and a touchdown. So
yeah, it's looking like maybe in the future there'll be a little bit of hope for them to be decent again.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of a running game if Dowdle stays good.
Yeah.
But, Carolina went back to being Carolina.
Yeah, Bryce Young had a little bit of a regression after playing well for a few weeks after his benching. 2 interceptions in this one, but
you'll have those, I guess.
Yep, hopefully he bounces back next week.
We had both picked Carolina. I don't remember if we said that.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, we were wrong.
Yeah, so much for what I said about because we watch football.
Right.
No, but Carolina had been playing well before this game. So,
and Cowboys just continued on their uptick. So
yeah.
Next 1 o'clock game, we had the 3-10 Jets going to Jacksonville to take on the 3-10 Jags.
What a game!
Yeah, actually, it's kind of fun, especially for me to watch.
Yeah.
Jets were favored by 3.5. First time in a while, Jets favored kind of made sense. And we both picked them, and we were right. They won 32-25. Looked like, Rodgers looked like Rodgers again, and Devontae looked like Devontae again. So it was a lot of fun nostalgia for me.
Yeah. Have some flashbacks.
Yeah, it was that 71-yard touchdown to Devontae was the most excited I had been over a play in a while.
Yeah.
Just because it was
Longest of his career.
So yeah,
I was
which
a little surprised by that.
is weird, but also he's never been fast. He's just
not a take off the
he
top
just
guy.
has the crazy release and can always get open, but wide open space, he's gonna get caught.
Yeah,
and he did right at the end.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, got tackled into the end zone. But had 198 yards that game, which was second.
Second most in his career.
Yeah, and then so weird to have
two touchdowns, right?
Yeah, weird to have the longest touchdown of your career and then second most yards in your career. One after you'd been kind of stinking, and two when you're 32.
Yeah,
and then Rodgers with 45 yards rushing, which was what would we say, sixth most of his career.
Yeah,
at 41,
most since September of 2019. So.
Yeah, led the team in rushing, and Breece Hall's on his team, so real weird. But there's still some things of same old Jets, like Breece Hall not having a good game.
Yeah,
but
he's quite hyped for a player that's never had a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, it's weird. I think part of it's
but also
Jets.
their offensive line has been
rough,
not good for his whole time there. So
yeah, I think that he could probably go somewhere else and then have a killer few seasons. But
yeah,
at this rate, Jets might end up just re-upping next year and seeing what happens. Looks like Rodgers is going to try to go on a little spoiler campaign and then also try to keep his spot there next year if they keep doing this. But yeah, it ended up being pretty fun.
Probably the Jets' best option. I mean, even if you're going to bring draft a guy, can't hurt to have him sit behind a guy like Rodgers with all that experience.
No, I saw a tweet today, which was a bunch of like touchdowns and stats like touchdowns, yardage. I forget what else there was. There was a couple more specific that are kind of like first down. What was the actual? I'm trying to remember what the actual stat is, but like percentage of like first down passes or something like that, like getting first downs, and like everything was still top 10. So somehow he's quietly been still top 10-ish this year, even though they've been awful. So I don't see anyone you replace him with unless you draft someone, but I don't know that there's a ton of great quarterbacks to choose from this year.
Sam Darnold?
Well, I guess if you went and grabbed Darnold.
Yeah.
But
I have a feeling Minnesota will re-sign him.
Maybe hold on.
You don't want to lose him for nothing, even if you're not going to play him.
Yeah, either
franchise tag, trade
or keep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Especially if they end up somehow getting the 1 seed and winning that division.
No, I think probably Jets' best thing moving forward would be to double down and go for it one more season and see if changing that coach and GM can change the culture a little bit, and these guys can.
It's kind of weird that not all, but quite a few of the reasons that Rodgers went to New York are no longer there.
Yeah, because
Salah, Hackett.
Well,
Hackett's still there. Not in that position, but also brought in Devontae. So.
Yeah, and he is friends with the, I guess now, former GM. I believe even still like getting dinner and stuff with him. So, a lot of what brought him there's gone, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Little side note on that game, Mac Jones, maybe the most confident bad player in the NFL.
Yeah,
he was out there talking ish and I don't know,
asking for calls that weren't there and acting like
he was obviously very good at Alabama, but humble yourself, young man.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that doesn't matter anymore.
There's been a lot of quarterbacks that were good at Alabama and did nothing in the NFL. And then one other thing I did want to mention, Brian Thomas Jr. has put together a very solid rookie season, up there with guys like Neighbors, McConkey, and Harrison, maybe even above Harrison for best rookie wide receiver.
Honestly, These last few weeks, I forgot Harrison existed. Has he done anything?
No. LSU just keeps churning out receivers.
Yes, they do.
Well, how many of they have like 4 of the top 10 guys at least? Chase, Neighbors, Thomas Jr., Jefferson.
That's the one I was trying to think of. I was like, one of those.
Yeah, that's like 4 of the top. I mean, I guess you can't necessarily put Thomas and Neighbors in there yet, but
no,
look like that could be their trajectory.
Yeah.
So definitely a wide receiver out there. But moving on to the next one, had the 8-5 Commanders at the 5-8 Saints. Washington was favored kind of big in this one, favored by 7, and they tried to blow it, but held on. We both picked Washington to cover, which they did not, but they did win 20-19.
I saw they were – I don't even remember what the score was. I was like – it might have been like 20-10 or something. They were up, and I was like, oh, they got that. And I kind of quit paying attention because I was mostly watching Jets.
Yeah.
And then I saw the highlights – I think it was between games or maybe halftime during the 4:30 games, and I thought I was about to watch a highlight of them losing because they showed them score right at the end and go for 2, and I was like, there's no freaking way. And they obviously didn't get it, but what the heck happened?
Yeah, kind of crazy. Saints had a chance to win at the very end, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get the 2-point conversion, but scored 12 unanswered in the fourth quarter.
Doesn't instill a whole lot of confidence in you for Washington. No,
and they're still in the 7th spot, still have that playoff spot, but they have to hold off the Seahawks, Falcons, and Cardinals, which Seahawks and Cardinals, actually all 3 of those teams are playing quite poorly, so I have a feeling they'll secure that playoff spot, but they do play Philly this week, so
that will be
most likely drop them down a rung.
Rough. You'd probably like if they took Philly out.
I would like that. Although, being a Lions and a Broncos fan is kind of a catch-22 because if they beat Philly, that's going to strengthen Daniels' offensive rookie of the year case. True. But obviously, awards don't. Personal
matter
awards
too much.
Don't matter too much. I'd rather
First round bye is nice.
Yeah, for sure, especially with all their injuries.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk about that anymore. So until we get to the Bills-Lions game. Next up, we had the 5-8 Bengals at the 3-10 Titans. Bengals are favored by 5. We both picked them to cover that, and they ended up winning by 10 points in a very sloppy game. 7 combined turnovers.
I honestly thought they were going to mess around and lose that game.
Yeah.
I was like, what in the world?
Well, they've done that quite a bit this year.
Yeah.
So wouldn't have been shocking, but Burrow, 3 turnovers in that game, kind of kept the game close.
Pretty uncharacteristic of him so far this year.
Yeah, and speaking of uncharacteristic, Chase had no touchdowns this week.
Yeah, Chase was he didn't have a ton of yards either, did he?
He ended up with 97. He had some bigger ones towards the end. He had a couple running plays also. I'm not sure how many yards he had, but the Bengals keep their playoff hopes alive.
Sure.
Slim. Like I said, they need to win out. They need Denver or the Chargers to lose out, so going to be tough, but we'll see what the rest of the season holds for them in the offseason because they've got some big free agents on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I still can't believe they haven't locked up Jamar.
I know.
What are you doing?
They're going to pay for it, though.
Well, a lot.
Yeah.
Or they're going to lose him.
Yeah, I doubt they'll let that happen, but it's going to.
I mean,
I never understand. Young, talented player.
He was upset at the beginning of the year.
Pay him as soon as you can.
Stay upset. He obviously is a professional and was like, I'll play this, go out and play my contract, but he's probably still upset. So someone offers him even just a little bit more, he might leave just in spite. I could see it.
Yeah.
Don't want to see it because I like Burrow and I like him and Chase together. Is this just the last year of his contract, or was he tagged, or? Oh, that's
because they can tag him.
That's a good point. Yeah, they can tag him.
I
forget.
He won't go anywhere at least next year, but they're gonna pay for it as far as salary goes.
Don't tag him. Yeah. That would be dumb.
I mean, for them, if nothing else, you're gonna tag him and trade him. But
oh man, that would be. Yeah,
give the man.
That would be hard for me to want to play if they tagged me. Like if I'm Chase and you just get a tag after this year.
Right. especially with injury risk.
That might get you to sit out.
Yeah. But moving on, I had the 12-1 Chiefs at the 3-10 Browns. Kansas City finally covered a spread, first time in 8 weeks. Which
not without help from Jameis, though.
Yeah, 6 turnovers by Cleveland. Cannot win that way.
First, I saw that score and I was like, "Oh, they finally earned one." And then
that's kind of what I thought too.
The 6 turnovers. I'm like, "Okay, 6 turnovers.
Much.
You only scored 21 points.
Yeah,
you still suck."
I don't get it. 12-1 on the season now, or 13-1.
13-1.
Yeah, that's. What do you say? Like we mentioned earlier, Mahomes was injured late in this one, ankle tweak, but should be all right for the playoffs. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm just kidding. Kind of
for real.
Yeah, like we mentioned, the turnovers. Jameis had 3 interceptions. Benched late in the game. Dorian Thompson-Robinson came in and also had a interception.
Worked out well.
Yeah. Nick Chubb, broken foot, out for the season.
Poor dude. Can't catch a break.
Yeah, just can't stay healthy. Mm-mm. But Jerome Ford's been a serviceable backup.
Yeah. He was good last year.
Yeah. Potential fantasy ad for anybody out there in your fantasy playoffs. And then Judy, also 5th in receiving yards this year. Quite a year for him after getting traded from
after being a real bummer
Denver.
In Denver.
Yeah. Didn't have too much else on that game. You have anything else?
No. I don't watch the Chiefs a ton.
Yep, I honestly didn't
puts me in a bad mood.
Watch much football this week. 1 o'clock games are boring, and the 4 o'clock games started out so poorly. I decided to do other things. But
can't blame you.
Yeah.
And then we had the 6-7 Dolphins at the 8-5 Texans. Houston was favored by 3. We both picked them to cover, and they did. They ended up winning 20-12. This game I don't think I saw any of it. Looked like Nico had a good game. Was that his first game back?
No, he's been back for a few weeks. But
has he? Okay. I just hadn't heard his name.
Yeah. And Miami had their chances. Tua had 3 interceptions in the game, so
that'll make it difficult.
Tough to win that way, especially when you only end up losing by 8. I feel like if you'd taken care of the ball, you could have had a real chance to win the game. But regardless, Houston won. They clinched the AFC South with the Indianapolis loss to Denver. Now Miami, with that loss, has no room for error. They're in the same boat as Cincinnati. They need to win out and need Denver or the Chargers to lose out. Plus, they need Cincinnati and Indianapolis to lose a game.
Yeah, so
not looking too good for the Dolphins. Yeah.
Then the last, I was just going to move on to the next game.
Oh,
you have something else?
Well, I was just going to say that Mixon, 12 carries for 23 yards is not going to be good enough to win in the playoffs. So you hope for them. It's just a down game for him, but
likely.
Yeah, I also hope so because I'm in my fantasy championship and have him in.
Yeah,
didn't do much.
Could probably use him.
Yeah. So last game of the 1 o'clock slate,
the 8-5 Ravens at the mighty 2-11 Giants. Baltimore was favored by 15. I reluctantly did pick them to cover, and Jordan thought that Giants would cover, but
only because of the huge spread. But
yeah, Baltimore ended up covering that spread, 35-14. Lamar had another one of those. Seems like he has so many of them. He has like terrible games and then games where he throws 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. He passed Aaron Rodgers in that stat of 5 or more touchdowns and no interceptions, with 6 of them now.
Wow.
And he's third all time, only behind Breeze and Brady, who each have 8. So at this rate, he will probably pass them in 4 weeks.
Not bad for a guy that should have been a running back according to some draft experts.
Yeah. I mean, Henry had a down game, which kind of seems like that's been the status quo the last few weeks, which I do believe I brought up early in the season that I don't know that with how much they were feeding him the ball if his old, albeit beautiful body can take that all season. So
could be beneficial for him come playoff time if he's had less.
Yeah, I mean, he
carries
still had
right
16
now,
carries. He's just not getting the yards, which 16 is not a ton for him. So
right.
maybe he's getting a little bit of rest with this. But, yeah, I'd hate to see him be a bummer the rest of the year because I like Henry. I don't really care one way or the other for the Ravens, but
yeah,
that would be sad for him if he sucked, and that was part of the reason they got kicked out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
also, it would suck for us because we need somebody to knock the Chiefs off.
this is true. But yeah, and then the Giants were just still the Giants. They were really bad.
Yep. No quarterback. No chance to really compete. DeVito started the game, I believe, was injured and had to come out. So we'll see if they draft. I know there's been some type of relationship between Shedeur Sanders and Malik Neighbors. So
yeah, they were in the streets playing catch the other day in New York. Cool, weird, cool though. So yeah, it looks like it seems like that's probably where he's going. Also, I guess I don't know who else is going to be in this draft class. Is he a first overall type of pick?
He's top 5. Him and Cam Ward are both projected top 5.
Cam Ward, that's who it was. And then there's one other. Isn't there one other quarterback? Wasn't there one other one in the Heisman running?
Yeah, I don't remember. But.
Shoot. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to say it right now. Shedeur's going number 1 overall to the New York Giants.
Yeah, those two, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham.
Who?
I'm not seeing any other quarterbacks in the top of the draft, but
who's the other guy? Who's the fourth guy at the
at one point Quinn Ewers was kind of up there, but he already announced that he's coming back for another year. So
oh, well, that sucks. That would suck. I don't want Ewers to come back. I wanted Manning to get a good season.
I mean, he announced he's coming back to college football for another year. Doesn't mean he'll be at Texas.
That's true.
They might let him know.
Yeah, also, Manning's not going to sit around for another year.
Yeah.
So never mind.
Yeah, they're not going to let him leave.
Because I got a whole bunch of first-round picks in the 2026 draft in our league, and I really want
the next Manning.
I want Manning because I need a quarterback. I have Dak and Rodgers, which
maybe only Dak.
Yeah, I mean,
depending.
Rodgers was fine all year. I mean, he was great this last week.
No, I just mean if he leaves the Jets, he might not have anywhere else to go.
Right. I mean, if Dak can come back and be Dak again, then it's a great starting.
No, Dak's a good fantasy quarterback. If nothing else.
He hadn't been the weeks leading up to his injury.
Yeah, but Cowboys had no running game, so it was all on him.
Yeah. But
it was nice of them to wait to get a running game until he was out.
Well, it was nice of Rico to wait until he was out to start friggin' doing something.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now I forget what we were saying. Oh yeah, we were talking about the other, whoever the other guy at the stinking Heisman ceremony was. I swore there was 2 quarterbacks, Ashton and Travis Hunter.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Dylan Gabriel from Oregon, but he's not eligible to.
Yeah. Okay. It was him. Okay. So he's still too young.
Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't feel like he is because I feel like he transferred. He's 23 years old already, but I don't know. Maybe he hasn't declared for the draft yet.
Okay.
Or maybe he's not viewed as a top pick, but regardless.
Yeah.
Moving on to the 4 o'clock window.
Yeah.
Some big matchups here.
4 o'clock. Every game, the 4 o'clock window was the game I wanted to watch.
Patriots Cardinals.
It was over one. Oh. Yeah, I forgot that one was in there.
I shouldn't tell you what you want to watch, but I'm assuming you didn't want to watch that.
I'm gonna be straight up. I forgot that there was a 5th game there. I knew there was 4 games.
Easy to
at
forget.
4 o'clock that I wanted to watch. I forgot they were there. But starting off, the 7-6 Bucks went to the 8-5 Chargers. LA was favored by 3. I picked Tampa Bay to win. You thought Chargers would cover. Tampa Bay
was looking good for a little bit.
Definitely won.
Yeah,
it was. It was looking good for the Chargers. This one, it was either way. I was fine. I like Chargers, but I also like Baker. Also, Roman. Even though you don't watch this, even though you should, because you're supposed to occasionally be a part of this. I love Baker, and it was kind of fun to watch him beat your Chargers because of all of our trash talk.
I wonder at what point Roman stopped watching that game if he was watching.
I don't know. He doesn't. I think I've mentioned this before. He's weird and oftentimes doesn't watch his teams because he's all superstitious, which I feel like takes all of the fun out of football.
Yeah, I mean, I understand a little bit. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Just really wanted to say that.
Yes.
But and also, I guess if your team always sucks, like the Chargers always had, not that fun to watch.
It's not even that they've always sucked. They've always had talent and just never put it together.
Yeah.
They led early, 17-10 with the ball after 2 early Tampa Bay turnovers, but then Tampa Bay woke up and ended up scoring 30 unanswered on 6 straight scoring possessions.
Yeah.
Before their final possession was the end of the game, so they didn't score on that one, but that one doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
So,
but
big win for Tampa Bay, who now stands alone.
Yeah,
first place in their division. So.
Chargers are trying to charger and mess around and miss the playoffs.
Yeah, the Broncos moved ahead of them for the 6th seed.
Yeah, Baker
ended
up throwing 4 touchdowns, 288 yards.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Mike Evans had a big game, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, and he, I forget how far he is off, but he's still got a chance at that 1,000-yard season.
Oh, yeah, let's see. I forgot. 159. Yeah, I mean, that makes a dent.
He's in the low 400s off.
749.
Oh, only needs 251?
251 in 3 games? He got that.
Yeah, they'll be feeding him the ball.
Yeah, I hope so.
If he's off by less than 200, they'll be feeding him the ball.
Yeah. Around 85-ish. Yeah. A little less than a game. I think he's got that.
Yeah.
Dang. Dude's going to still end up with 1,000-yard, probably 13 touchdowns. Good for him.
Missed, 3 games? I believe it was.
I thought it was a little more than that.
Well, probably 3.5 with the one that he got injured in.
I thought he was out for total 4 or 5 this year. Because I felt like he missed a game or 2 early on as well. Dang it. Where are... There we go.
Game log. That's your
better. There we go.
Oh.
He's played 11. What are we at? 15
14 games.
14 games?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So missed probably 3.5. Yeah. You was on it.
I mean, to be fair, I think I read that somewhere. But
I guess not a ton else to say. I guess I don't really know what went wrong with the Chargers. I didn't look. Did Herbert end up playing? I think he only threw a pick.
Yeah.
Dobbins probably didn't do a whole lot. But because I was not expecting them to get blown out like that because Chargers are good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily at this point say they're contenders at all, but
yeah, in the second half they went punt, interception, turnover on downs, fumble.
Dobbins hurt? I guess I didn't realize he was still out
for the season, I think.
Oh. Did we talk about that? Did I miss that?
I think so.
My memory's really, really good. Old Gus Edwards didn't do anything, and neither did Vidal.
No.
So 32 yards rushing.
I thought that was kind of a puzzling move for the Chargers to bring in Dobbins and Edwards, who both had struggled with injuries and inconsistency with Baltimore, but yeah.
They both came from Baltimore, didn't they?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
I realized that, but I didn't really think about that.
They weren't good in Baltimore, so I don't know. the Harbaugh brothers, maybe John told Jim that he thought they both had something in the tank. Plus, I'm sure that
he sabotaged him. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna be in my conference, and I got to play you this year. Yeah, pick them up. Yeah. I think they're good.
They look so good now.
They look so good. I'm sad to let them go.
Yeah. Well, Derrick Henry kind of forces.
It was a real tough decision between them and Derrick. So,
to be fair, Dobbins was playing.
He was
pretty good early in the season, but always gets hurt. So
yeah, and
kind of had to expect that.
Yeah, and you did. You traded him away.
I did
right at about the right time.
Yeah,
I think he had like 1 or 2 good games after you traded him. So
yeah, traded him for a first-round pick.
Good job. It was a great fantasy move
in a dynasty league. Yeah. I don't even remember who that was, but whoever you were. Thank you, kind sir.
Thank you.
But moving on, unless you had something else to say about that one.
No.
I don't care if you did. 10-3 Steelers traveled to Philadelphia to take on.
And then moving on, because I don't care if you have anything to say about that one. We got the 3-10.
No, I forgot where I was. I traveled to Philadelphia to take on the Red Hot Eagles.
Yeah.
11-2, now 12-2. Philadelphia was favored by 5, which I had them covering. You had Pittsburgh winning outright.
Yeah.
And like I said last week, I would have loved for that to happen, so I knew it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Philadelphia won 27-13. And their passing game kind of.
Yeah, it appears their chemistry issues we were worried about weren't such a problem.
Yes, but also Jalen Hurts started his his press conference by saying, "Oh, that's what you wanted to see, huh?" And A.J. Brown saying whatever, basically complaining that the media made too much out of it, even though the media didn't create it. Mason Graham literally went on the radio and said that
Brandon Graham
went on the radio and said that they were no longer friends and they both needed to be better. And
which
you guys created the drama, so don't.
There's not really a way to take that out of context, unless at the very beginning he's like, so hypothetically, I'm just totally making something up right now to create some drama, so cut it right here. Jalen and A.J. Brown are not friends anymore. They hate each other.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess whatever you got to do to find motivation.
Yeah. I mean,
kind of like the Jordan video, Michael Jordan video.
Yeah.
I took that personal.
Yeah. And Sirianni couldn't cut his hair again, so they need to find something else.
I heard today that they have not lost since he did that. So
what?
For all the ish we talked about him shaving his head,
it worked.
Yes, it worked.
That's a weird freaking strategy, but
we'll be here next week bald. No,
I'm not doing that.
But yeah, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith both went over 100 in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Saquon, just like Henry, had a down game.
Yeah. But Pittsburgh also had no run game and
no Pickens.
Yeah, no Pickens. Yeah. So
56 rush yards total.
Russell,
and that includes Russell Wilson with a few. That's not good enough.
So Russell didn't do a ton passing either. No real mistakes, but only a touchdown, and that's not gonna. No run game and only a touchdown isn't gonna get you really anywhere.
Yeah. Didn't want to mention again T.J. Watt injured late in that one, but played through it. So hopefully he's all right.
Yeah.
Next week and into the playoffs.
And then
moving on to the one stinker in the 4:00 window, the 3-10 Patriots.
Hoot hoot.
Took on the 6-7 Cardinals in Phoenix.
Yep.
Cardinals favored by 4.5 in that one. Both had them covering, which they did. James Conner had a big game.
17.
Yes. James Conner had a big game, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. McBride also continues to shine. He had 87 yards. I know, kind of a wild stat on him.
No touchdown.
He has 89 receptions on the season with 0 touchdowns, most in
weird, wild
NFL
stuff.
History. Yeah. But yeah, I like his game quite a bit.
He's fun to watch. But get in the end zone, bro. You're like Julio Jones.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not good. That's not that you're not good. That's not good.
I say you can't really say that Julio wasn't good, but he wasn't good at getting in the end zone.
Yeah, he was good, but I feel like overhyped with all the non-scoring.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, you can go. I mean, Jameis throws for a ton of yards, but he don't win you games.
Yeah.
So I don't care about yards. I want touchdowns.
Yep. And then we had the 6 and 7 Colts at my 8 and 5 Broncos. Denver was favored by 4. You had the Colts losing but covering.
Yeah.
I had Broncos winning and covering, which I almost never pick.
I just can't, you can't account for more defensive touchdowns.
Right.
How am I supposed to know they're going to do that again?
Yeah. Well, Denver won 31-13. Colts had a chance to more or less run away with it early. But then
they got a little
Jonathan
too tricksy.
Taylor.
Oh, Jonathan Taylor, that. Yep.
Yeah, dropped the ball right before he crossed the end zone line. Rolled out of bounds for a touchback.
Understand.
Can't have it.
How this keeps happening.
Yeah. Well,
it seems like it would happen one time, and then everyone's like, I'm not doing that ever. And then it would go away. But it's multiple times every season. They never learn.
Yeah.
What in your cocky brain makes you think I'm going to let go of this the second I score?
Right.
I don't get it.
Why?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, and then they got a little too tricksy. Tried to do a little flea flicker, more than.
Yeah, double pass.
Yeah. And Bonito just came running through and took it to the house.
Yep. Technically scoop and score because it's a backwards pass.
Yeah.
Not a pick six.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you said that, but.
Right.
Cool play.
Yeah, it's fun. Second week in a row for Bonito with a defensive
also
touchdown.
Tied for third in the league in sacks.
Yeah.
With T.J. Watt ahead of Myles Garrett.
Earned himself a keeper spot on my team.
Yeah, boy's about to get paid. Which Broncos haven't had a elite pass rusher since Von Miller left, so
yeah, long ago.
Nice to see. Yeah,
had to go 4 years.
No, 2017, 18 maybe was last.
It's really been that long
last year that he was
there.
Anyway,
okay.
But let's see when did the Rams win the Super Bowl? Because he went to the Rams. And he was still pretty good.
That's probably around. That was when did Goff? This is Goff's third year in Detroit.
Yeah.
Was it 21 then?
Yeah. Okay. So it hasn't been as long as I was thinking, but
yeah. I like Bonito. He's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I guess I didn't catch the whole time of the game. I had the split screen on, and after that Jonathan Taylor not touchdown, I thought that was a touchdown. I was like, this game's freaking done. And then wasn't paying attention until way later in the game and realized that Denver was winning and that Indianapolis had less points than I thought they did. And I was like, what the heck happened? And then during the either halftime highlights or pre-game for Sunday Night Football, I saw that highlight, and all made sense then. But
brain fart.
Yep.
I did want to mention that Nick's struggled a little bit, had 3 interceptions in the game, but never seems to get rattled.
Keeps us cool.
Which obviously is a good thing, but sometimes it does kind of bug me. Multiple times this season I've seen him throw a bad interception and kind of be laughing or smiling coming off the field. I don't know. I guess it's good, but to me, as a fan, it's
irritating to see, but also, I think that I like it. It loves kind of the same way. He's not, I guess, doesn't laugh or anything. But he never gets too upset, worked up over anything. He's always keeps his cool, and I feel like if Nick's is jogging off, kind of smiling or giggling, it seems like he could at least just good on you for getting that, but it's not going to happen again
after the
except
game.
For 2 more times.
After the game, Sean Payton, which could just be him defending his rookie quarterback, but said that 2 of those interceptions were more on him for the scheme or the play call or whatever. But
I guess I didn't see them, so I don't know. On the surface, I don't see how a pick can be on a coach, but if it was some weird trick play that...
No, it wasn't a trick play. I think Payton was just saying that they were pushing the ball down the field too much when they didn't need to.
Okay.
They were both long well, two of them, those two I think he was talking about were long,
deep
long
shots.
pass interceptions. That just guy ran the wrong route a little bit or just missed the throw, overthrow or whatever.
I feel like they do that a lot. I'm trying to remember what game it was where it just seemed like
Denver specifically.
Yeah. They just kept throwing deep balls that were not connecting, but then one or two of them finally did. And it was just like, it seemed like either a screen or 55 yards down the field. It's like, there's an intermediate game, Sean. Oh, no. You can do some other things in there.
It's like the kitchen in pickleball. You can't go in there.
Okay. And that's line of scrimmage to 55 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. That's the kitchen. Oh, okay. I was not aware.
You can't throw in there.
I wasn't aware. I feel like I'd see more flags for that.
Huh.
And then
you just don't watch a ball like that.
I guess. And then the arguably the biggest matchup of the afternoon, the 10-3 Bills at the 12-1 Lions. Detroit was favored by 1.5. I had picked them to cover. You thought you had Buffalo winning. Buffalo did 48-42. Yeah, that was a lot of scoring. Heck of a game. Kept getting away from Detroit, and then they'd pull back just a little bit, but not enough. And then, obviously there at the end, the injuries kind of mounted up. But, we'll see what happens with them.
The final result kind of went exactly how I thought it would. Buffalo winning. Obviously, I picked. I mentioned it. I thought it would be a shootout. But, I mean, the way the game went down was not how I saw it going at all. Detroit had to abandon their run game because they got behind early, which is kind of their recipe for success, just beating on teams, wearing them down with that elite offensive line run game, which now is down Montgomery.
Super hot stretch, I felt like they were only throwing like in the teens.
Yeah, well, that
times
Goff perfect game was 18 for 18.
Yeah.
But they had a good rushing performance in those weeks.
Yeah. A lot of running.
Which a little bit of a high note. Jahmyr Gibbs has had a handful of games with Montgomery out so far in his career and has averaged almost 130 yards
in those
per
games.
game.
Nice.
So should be all right.
Yeah, although this will be...
You don't want all that wear and tear on him.
Probably his biggest test. Because he's got to...
Chicago, you mean, this week?
No. Just the whole situation. He's got 3 games to finish out and then the whole postseason to try to...
Hopefully 6 more games.
Make up, to pick up that slack. But who else is in there?
Craig Reynolds is going to be their backup, but it'll be heavy dose of Gibbs. And
I was going to say, I don't feel like they have much more.
If he needs to come out, it'll be Reynolds and Sione Vaki. They drafted out of Utah. He's kind of a bowling ball type, bigger running back, so they might use him in short.
Real big fat guy.
Yeah. Special teams ace. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Sure.
Obviously, not at the expense of having Montgomery out, but is what it is. I think their offense is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Their defense is obviously the one that kind of starting to struggle. They play the most man coverage in the NFL, and when you keep losing bodies like that, players like that, that's tough. They may end up playing more zone here down the stretch. I did see some rumors, and Campbell was asked about it, that Brian Branch might have to switch to corner with Carlton Davis out, which he's played before, and then Ifeatu Melifonwu was supposed to be coming back soon.
Okay.
Which he was very good last year when he was playing before his injury, so we'll see. Their pass defense has been pretty good. Their safeties haven't got the turnovers that they were getting early in the season, so I'd like to see some more of that. Hopefully Caleb Williams will oblige this week.
I think he will.
Yeah. But, Josh Allen, what can you say about the guy? Definitely MVP favorite right now.
Yeah.
Probably going to win it barring a drastic fall off.
Yeah.
Even though Lamar's making his argument for sure.
Yeah, it was feeling very much like Josh was going to run away with it, but Lamar, I mean, dude's got 34 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's definitely keeping himself relevant in that in that talk.
Yeah. Just thought I'd mention this was the highest scoring game of the NFL season.
Really?
Surpassing the game from the week before, the Rams and the Bills.
Okay.
So, Bills.
Good on you, Bills.
Stay stopping.
Great offense,
nothing.
Terrible defense.
Yeah.
The last couple weeks.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to say. Their defense kind of worries me when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, guess we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like how Detroit did show some resilience. They could have kind of threw in the towel after falling behind early, but they did what they could to fight back.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think it's going to be, obviously they were Super Bowl favorites, and hard to say they're that now.
Yeah, it affects it a little bit.
For sure.
The loss and the injuries.
Yeah.
Then
we shall see.
Rounding out the night, Sunday Night Football, the 9-4 Packers went to the 8-5 Seahawks.
Good game on paper.
Yeah. Green Bay was favored by 3. We both had them covering, and they did, 30-13. Yeah, Green Bay looked good that first half. Jacobs was a dog, and then looked like some halftime adjustments and kind of kept him in check the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But didn't matter because Love was slinging it, and Dobbs and Watson were making some sweet catches.
I feel like it's been a few weeks since Love's had any turnovers, hasn't it?
Yeah, he's been playing
mistake-free football.
Yeah, he's just all around looking like he's maybe finally healthy.
He did that last year too. Kind of started off a little sloppier and rounded into shape. So
yeah, and maybe that's just going to be his MO.
Yeah, it's not bad. You obviously you'd rather be playing good at the end of the season than the beginning, and
maybe he's
poorly, and vice versa.
Trying things early on, and I don't know, but no, played real well. It surprisingly, Packers fans traveled very well for this game.
That was the first time I've ever heard any mention of away teams fans at Seattle.
Yeah, especially at Seattle, but like you could hear "Go Pack Go" chants on the broadcast, and it looked like a couple times that Seattle offense was actually having to work to communicate.
Yeah, it's weird because the Packers don't really have that many fans.
They just all traveled real well.
Yeah,
but all the way over in Seattle, it was kind of surprising. I could see that all day over in Minneapolis,
to have close by.
Yeah, to have that many fans there, that would make sense.
Not all the way over in,
but 2,000 miles away.
Yeah.
I'm liking what I'm seeing there. Dobbs, I'm just hoping he can stay healthy because when he's playing, he's playing well. And that catch, his first second touchdown that game.
That was nice.
That was nice.
Although he wasn't very enthused about it.
Post-game, one of the guys
I went down and I caught it.
Yeah, one of the guys was asking about that catch, and wanted him to tell him a little bit about that catch, and then he was just like, when caught the ball.
Yeah. Very matter of fact.
Yeah. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah. Seems like it's a different guy every week for Green Bay. He just got so many weapons. It's hard to account for all of them. One of them's gonna go off every week. Did Jaden Reed bounce back this week from his?
I don't think. I was just gonna look. He had one catch early on that I noticed. I was like, oh, there he is. But then now that I'm thinking back on it, I don't feel like he did anything the rest of the game. Oh yeah, 3 for 27. So he had 2 more catches after that. But oh no, that was his rushing. Sorry, 5 for 34. Okay.
So about
61 yards from scrimmage. But yeah, it was a lot of. No one had a ton of yards. Ball gets spread around and only threw for 229. But Watson had a beautiful sideline catch, and then Dobbs had the 2 touchdowns. The one that I was hoping was going to be an angry run submission, but then Jacobs had to hit a guy and turn him into a sideways Jordan logo, and then freaking I can't think of his name. Sweat.
Tavondre Sweat.
Yeah, Tavondre Sweat had to got a big, mean, stiff arm, and then there
nice.
wasn't much room for more submissions. So
Right.
Reed's touchdown.
Literally not much more room.
Yeah, right.
He took up all the
space. Freaking 370 pounds. Yeah. No, I mean, people are kind of just playing well all around. The offensive line is getting better. They're all super young, and it looks like with this group, if guys stick around, this window is going to be open for a while.
Youngest team in the league.
Yeah. Edgerrin Cooper, their rookie linebacker, has been playing very well. First rookie linebacker for Green Bay to have a sack and an interception in a game in like 33 years. Also was highest graded player in Week 15 by PFF. So if Quay ends up out for a little bit because he went out with a little bit of an injury, looks like he can kind of definitely take over. Him and McDuffie, who's been playing real well too. And then Valentine, he's been playing better and seemed to play pretty dang well yesterday. Ended up with a pick. He almost had one the play before. I was like, damn, that would have been fun for him. And then next play, pick in the end zone. And then he did
when he brought it out?
Yeah, and then he did the dumb, young, no-name corner thing where...
It didn't even look like he gave it any thought. As soon as he got it, he's like, I'm going.
And there was nowhere to run. He ended up to like the 16 or something, so it wasn't...
Not terrible, but not smart
but it was dumb, and that's the terrible part. Just sit down, unless there's a whole bunch of green in front of you. But I'm sure he was talked to about it, so he'll learn. Pass rush looked good, but Seattle's O-line hasn't been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I thought about immediately when you brought up how your Broncos haven't had a elite pass rusher since Vaughn. I was like, yeah, I had an elite pass rusher since frickin' I don't even know when. Since Clay Matthews. I mean, we have had guys here and there that have been good for a season or two, but...
Did you have anything else to say about that game?
I didn't.
Okay, that's it for the Sunday games. Moving on to Monday Night Football. Doubleheader. The 4-9 Bears... I don't know how they have 4 wins.
I don't either.
At the 11-2 Vikings, Minnesota was favored by 7. You picked Chicago to cover.
I did.
I forgot about that.
They've been playing people close, other than San Fran.
Yeah, which is wild because they haven't. This is the 3rd week in a row they haven't scored a point in the first half.
Yeah. And I kind of knew that, so I was like, all right, second half they'll bring it around. Maybe they'll even win.
That would be nice,
like that.
Actually.
But they let me down.
Minnesota. I had Minnesota covering. They won 30-12.
Yeah. Chicago looked especially bad.
Terrible.
It was like even beyond comical. It was just like Jets territory. It was so many dumb flags, so many dumb things. Caleb looked so silly. There was one point it looked like he was running around trying to get out of sack and make a play, and it legitimately looked like a kid was playing Madden mashing buttons because he spun for nothing and then jumped for nothing. Like he spun out, ran out sideways towards the sideline, turned back, was coming back in. There was a dude behind him, but there was just a dude behind him. That's all. And he jumped up. I'm like, what? You just mashing buttons now, but in real life?
I missed that.
And then he checked it incomplete. But yeah, I was like, this is rough.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of warms the cockles of my heart, but also I really wanted them to pull one out for me.
Yeah,
but
same.
Whatever is what it is, I guess.
Minnesota just keeps on winning.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have a real shot at winning I shouldn't say now, they have, but have a real shot at winning the North. Might come down to Week 18 versus Detroit. And I have a feeling that Green Bay will beat Minnesota. But then if Minnesota beats Detroit, I think they might still have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, no, if Minnesota... Oh, yeah. Well, no, because then they'll...
I'm not sure because Detroit beat Green Bay twice.
Oh, if Minnesota beats Detroit.
They would be tied as far as their head-to-head,
Yeah.
but the Lions would have a better division record. So I think the Lions would actually still... If that's the Lions' only loss.
No, they wouldn't... They wouldn't have a better division record because they'd each have one loss in the division.
No, because Minnesota would have lost to Green Bay.
And Detroit. And then they lost to... Yeah.
In my scenario.
Yeah.
But regardless, have a real shot at...
Yeah.
If they win out, they win the North, and they...
Yeah, well, if Minnesota wins out, they're the 1 seed.
Oh, they have the tiebreaker over Philly?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Minnesota could really set themselves up for a good divisional round loss. I mean, I barely he keeps doing it, but I barely trust Darnold in the regular season. I definitely don't trust him once it's crunch time in the postseason.
Yeah, because they'd be playing Tampa Bay, the Rams, the Lions, or the Packers. Most likely.
Yeah. So, I guess really kind of either at this point, whatever happens, I don't really give a crap because it doesn't affect. But yeah, wasn't that great of a game to watch?
No.
Neither was the other one on Monday night.
Yeah, I love that they gave us a doubleheader, and they're both terrible games.
Yeah.
Which we knew before. We mentioned that when we were making our picks last week.
Yes.
But the second game was the 6-7 Falcons at the 2-11 Raiders. Atlanta was favored by 4.5. You had Vegas covering but losing. So you had the winner, right? But they did not cover. I had Atlanta covering, which they did narrowly. Had to hold on late.
15-9.
Vegas threatened at the end. They had the ball and kind of driving down the field. Some poor clock management and poor play calls.
Typical of bad teams.
Yeah. It's pretty much what the announcer said. They said that's what you get when you have a 2-11 team.
Yeah.
But news just came down during the pod that Cousins is officially being benched.
Ooh.
So Penix will be starting this week, which is
weird
smart,
that they wait after. I mean, I guess you're out of contention basically, and
yeah.
I guess
they
really
have the tiebreaker over Tampa Bay, so they only need to catch up one game. But
weird after an up. I mean, for what it has been an up game for him and a win, but
yeah. To be fair, they have no shot at the Super Bowl, which is the only thing that really matters. So you might as well find out what Penix has now.
Yeah.
I kind of doubt they move on from Cousins this offseason. They have too much money, but he'd obviously be a very good mentor.
Yeah. For
Penix. And then obviously if Penix struggles, then you bring Cousins back in. But yeah, we'll see what Penix has. I have him in a dynasty league, so in my taxi squad, so I'm happy to see what he looks like.
Yeah.
Like these last few weeks. Yeah, it does not look like Atlanta will be making the playoffs like we said. So, and the Raiders are definitely not.
I don't know, man.
You're telling me there's a chance?
No, they're officially eliminated. There's no chance.
Yeah. So, that'll do it for our Week 15 recap. Didn't do too bad on our picks. No. So we'll see if we can.
Let's see. Let's do our Week 16 picks.
Yeah, let's do it. Thursday Night Football got the 9-5 Broncos at the 8-6 Chargers in another divisional matchup after the 49ers-Rams game last week. This one, hopefully a better game than the last one.
Yeah.
Chargers are favored by 3 in that one. I have the Chargers winning and covering, although watching the way they played against Tampa makes me second guess that a little bit. But
actually, because of that, I have the Broncos winning.
Okay. I hope you are right. Like we've already mentioned, Chargers have no run game to speak of right now. Denver obviously very solid on defense, so if Surtain plays, which he had an injury in their win over Indianapolis late in that game, but he was a full participant in practice today, so really hoping that he's available. Riley Moss might be back. They've been missing him the last couple weeks, so we'll see if they can hold their offense in check. They should have a chance because their offense has been playing pretty well.
And then we got a couple Saturday games. First one, we got the 9-5 Texans at the 13-1 Chiefs.
I missed that.
What?
That we had
Saturday.
Games.
Yeah. Kansas City's favored by 2.5.
Wait a minute.
What?
Why?
Because they do this late in the...
I knew they did it Christmas week, but I didn't know they did it.
They do it late in the season when there's no more buys.
I mean, I like it. More days of football, the better.
Right. More buys, so they do some Saturday games at the end of the season. I don't know if that's the only reason. Probably just to get more of them on at watchable times. Because we're getting a lot of playoff deciding games.
Yeah.
But, Kansas City favored by 2.5 prior to getting ready for the pod. I had, Houston was favored by 1.5, and I thought that they'd probably cover if Mahomes didn't play. But since that switched and since he was a full participant, I do have the Chiefs covering.
Yeah, me too. Small spread. Mahomes plays. Houston has not been playing very well.
No.
So, which
they haven't been good.
Honestly, Kansas City hasn't been playing that well either. But
no.
They find ways. So.
Yep.
Not too much else to say about that one. But the second Saturday game, another divisional game, the 10-4 Steelers at the 9-5 Ravens, should be a good one. Who won the first matchup between those two teams? I forget.
I feel like
I thought the Steelers did, but maybe not.
Yeah, I feel like that was a oddly boring.
Yeah,
game.
Steelers 18-16 last time. I think the Ravens Ravens are favored by 6.5. If I didn't say that, I think the Ravens bounce back from their defeat in their first matchup and win that one.
I think Ravens win, but I think Steelers cover. On that 6.5 spread.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's my recency bias after watching the way that Baltimore handled the Giants this week. Obviously, Giants aren't good.
Giants.
Huh?
It's the Giants. It's the Giants.
What's the...
They're bad.
Yes, you're saying. I thought you were correcting me about who they played. I was like, that's what I said. What do you say?
You and I could handle the Giants.
Yeah.
And we aren't athletes.
I can twirl.
We are rec athletes.
I can baton twirl. Anyways.
Oh. That's funny, but you guys don't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then...
I can't baton twirl, just so everybody knows.
Yeah. He was not in the color guard. And then moving on to Sunday, we've got the 2-12 Giants going to the 7-7 Falcons. Atlanta is favored by 9.
That's definitely going to move.
Yeah.
With the Cousins benching. Although too large a spread in my opinion anyway with the way that the Falcons are playing. Looks like it's going to be Penix versus either DeVito or who is their backup? Was Drew Lock, but I think he's injured. I forget who came into that game this week, which tells you how good that player was.
How many stinking quarterbacks did they have on their roster?
Yeah, right. It was a guy I've heard of, but Tim Boyle.
Yeah.
Former Lion, not good.
Former Packer.
Terrible.
He's the best.
Yeah, so Penix versus Boyle, maybe that spread is accurate. But anyway, I have New York covering the spread, although the spread will change. So
I have Atlanta covering.
Okay. Was that your pick before the Cousins benching too?
Yeah. I don't feel like it was at 9 before. Maybe it was. But I mean, the Giants are just so bad.
Yeah.
And
still says 9.
Penix might be really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very good at Washington.
I'm hoping.
I liked him coming out. So, I guess we shall see.
Yeah. And then still 1 o'clock, we got the 7-7 Cardinals going to the 3-11 Panthers. Arizona's favored by 4.5, and I have them covering it Those dogs are loud. Yeah. Panthers maybe are the Panthers again. I don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't look good. And Cardinals have got to be in desperation mode if they want anything. So
yeah,
4.5 isn't too much for them to cover.
No, I also have Arizona winning that one. Won't be watching that one probably, but yeah, like you said, Panthers came back down to earth. It's kind of weird to say because they haven't been brilliant or anything.
No.
But anyway, moving on to the next one, we have the 12-2 Lions at the 4-10 Bears. Detroit favored by 6.5.
Feels like a little bit of an overreaction in the spread department from last week, because I feel like prior to that game, the spread would have been at least double digits.
Yeah, 12.5 probably. But the Bears have played the Lions tough last 3 matchups, even though the Lions were clearly the better team. So, guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I do have Detroit winning and covering.
I too have that.
I have a feeling they'll be motivated by the injuries and everyone counting them out now.
Yeah,
including myself. But as far as Super Bowl contention, not as far as winning games. But
they're going to miss the playoffs now.
Yeah, like I said before, I think the offense is going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what the defense does, but not too much to worry about with a Chicago team that hasn't scored in the first half in 3 weeks,
right?
Including the Lions matchup on Thanksgiving.
And who's so bad they're just mashing buttons now.
Sometimes it works.
Yeah. Another divisional game. We got the 12-2 Eagles at the 9-5 Commanders. Philly's favored by 3.5. Feels small. I feel like Philly covers that pretty easily.
Agreed. Especially after New Orleans barely beat, or New Orleans, Washington barely beat New Orleans.
Yeah.
Philly's hot right now, so
yep,
they haven't lost in quite a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see them easily covering that one also.
Yeah.
The 3-11 Browns.
3-11 Browns. That's the band.
The matchup of Ohio. What?
That's why they've been. You know the band 3-11.
No.
The Amber song. Amber is the color of your energy.
No.
Whoa. You know that one?
I do not.
Oh. But I like them.
Let them sing it. I can't say that you shouldn't be offended because I haven't heard it, so it might be terrible.
No, that was exactly what he sounds like.
Okay.
I was doing an impression. It wasn't my singing voice.
Nobody should sing it.
Anyways.
I forget where I was. So anyway,
3-11 Browns
3-11
at the 6-8 Bengals.
At the 6-8 Bengals.
Since he said it by 7.5. Let's do the rest of this in unison. I've got the Bengals covering.
Because the Browns are terrible.
Yes. And, I mean, probably won't continue to bench Jameis, but he's not playing, to start this game.
I saw some reports that they were considering benching him, so guess we shall see. I haven't seen any official announcements, but
wild.
I mean, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, young player.
Also sucked, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you suck and there's nothing you're playing for, so see what he's got. I suppose. Every time he's come in, he's been doo-doo.
Yeah.
So, but, Bengals cover.
Agreed.
They are still in it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 3-11 Titans are going to Lucas Oil to take on the 6-8 Colts. Indianapolis is favored by 3.5. And Will Levis is really bad, so I think that they cover that.
Another team considering making a bench, they're talking about starting Mason Rudolph, who is also
really bad.
Yeah, definitely have the Colts winning that one. Like I mentioned, they had a chance to run away with it against Denver, who is a pretty good team. So I don't see why the Colts can't hand the Titans a loss easily.
Yeah.
And then next we have the 8-6 Rams at the 4-10 Jets. Rams favored by 3.5. I have them covering that one, although the Jets are playing much better, so wouldn't be shocked to see Jets play spoiler.
I am falling for it and drinking the Kool-Aid. It's like I told him before the pod. It's like when your ex calls you and you think that she's different now.
Yeah,
changed, and you go back, and that's what I'm doing because Rodgers and Devontae got me all excited. So I think they're going to play spoiler the rest of the season, and that would be fun for me.
Yeah.
So, oops, we're in shambles. But yeah, I got the Jets. Now I'm gonna regret it again. Next Tuesday we'll be here, and I'm gonna be like, I regret this.
You said win outright, correct?
Yep.
Just gotta get it in the record books.
Yep.
Moving on to the 4:00 window, I got the 12-2 Vikings at the 8-6 Seahawks. Minnesota favored by 3.5. Seems small after watching the way that Seattle played this
especially
week.
if Geno's questionable.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I've got the Vikings covering.
Me too. And I'd be more than happy to be wrong. But yeah, Vikings playing well. Seahawks not. So pretty easy pick for me. Maybe my favorite pick of the week, but there's a couple in there I really like.
Oh, sure.
And next,
I'd say this is a pretty
big spread on this one, but the 3-11 Patriots taking on the 11-3 Bills in another divisional matchup.
One that doesn't matter.
Yeah, Buffalo favored by 14. I do have them winning and covering.
I too have them covering.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're putting up points at will.
Yeah.
And the Patriots are definitely not going to be able to keep up with that, even if Buffalo's defense is as bad as they've looked the last 2 weeks. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's Drake May. And he's been fine.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been fine. He
kept every other Patriots quarterback since Tom Brady left.
Yeah, he kept looking like he had promise, and then now he's just fine.
Yep.
Not counting him out, but for this game, I'm counting him out. Yeah, and then 3-11, this one, you guys. I don't know how we get this lucky with these matchups.
I thought you were plugging your nose.
No. Yeah, you could do that too. I don't know how we get so lucky with these matchups. We got 3-11 Jags coming to Las Vegas to take on the 2-12 Raiders.
Tickets got to be so cheap for that game.
I'm kind of curious. I bet they can't get much cheaper than what they were. I looked at some Dolphins Browns tickets just to go see Cleveland. I can't remember Cleveland Stadium's name, but to go see that stadium, and they were like $13 or $18 they were starting at. So I feel like they can't get too much cheaper than that, but these have got to be right there.
The cheapest ones I've seen are at SoFi.
Unless just because
they have
it's
no fans.
Vegas is, unless just because it's Allegiant that they're expensive because the place is hella fancy.
Yeah.
What are we looking?
Starting at $60.
61. Yeah. So I guess just because it's
in Vegas,
a beautiful stadium in Vegas, that makes them worth a little bit. But yeah, huge spread on this one. Vegas favored by 1. What did I put? Reading it and looking at it, I feel like Jags win. That's what I put. Jags win. I mean, the Raiders have been also just astonishingly bad. Jags too, obviously, but Jags can score some points.
Mac Jones' head is going to get so big if they win this game. I also have Jacksonville winning.
Yeah.
Because how can you go against that?
Yeah,
how can
right.
you go against Mac Jones?
And his confidence.
Yep.
And then...
won't be watching, so you guys will have to let us know next week if we pick correctly or not.
Yeah.
Another big spread on the next one.
Oh, yeah.
6-8 49ers at the 6-8 Dolphins. Well, that just sounds weird that both of those teams are 6-8.
Yeah.
But yeah, Miami favored by 1. I think they win, but don't cover. Probably going to win by half a point. No, I have Miami winning and covering.
I too.
Although, obviously, with this basically being a pick 'em, I wouldn't be shocked.
No.
The other way around, which would eliminate Miami. But yeah, Miami fighting for their lives. I see them pulling this one out.
Yeah, and then Sunday Night Football, we got the 8-6 Bucks at the 6-8 Cowboys. Tampa Bay is favored by 4. You know I got Tampa covering.
Oh yeah.
They'll probably cover by 4 touchdowns.
It's another one of my favorite picks of the week.
Yeah, because Baker's the man. I don't care that he's thrown 14 picks. He's the man.
Yeah, I also have Tampa Bay winning and covering. Like we said, Cowboys have played better as of late, but I don't know what the stats are, but I feel like Baker's the kind of guy that would enjoy playing in prime time and will probably have a big game. So,
oh yeah.
Plus, you're going against America's team, so put on a show.
Gotta get rid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then final game of the week.
Monday
kind of
night.
a stinker for Monday Night Football. But
Yeah.
5-9 Saints at the 10-4 Packers. Green Bay favored by 13.5, and I think they win by maybe double that.
I have them covering. My only hesitation is
Jake Haener.
no, yeah, like LaFleur's coaching style. They get a comfy lead, which
They should.
right, is about 13, 14 points is a comfy lead, and then just run the ball and just chew clock and don't really score a ton.
Just starts button mashing when the making play calls.
Yeah. And so I could definitely see them getting up like 14, 17 points and then just chilling, and then Saints do something to score and just to cover, and then ruining it. But I'll stick with the Packers covering, because I know that if they just played aggressively the whole game, they could cover by at least double that.
Yeah.
But that's not their style.
Now it's time to dive into the Hooked Hierarchy, the part of the pod where we unveil our top 10 NFL squads, ranking teams based on performances, stats, and maybe a little bias. Who's rising to the top and who's slipping down the ranks. Get ready for some heated debates and some surprising picks as we break down the best of the best.
Pretty big shuffle this week.
In your rankings?
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I got to do something I really wanted to do and was waiting to do all season. So
Drop the Lions way down?
no. I mean,
But yes.
that's not something I've been waiting all season to do.
Yeah.
I might as well just get right into what I've been waiting to do all season. Because my number 10, I put the Tampa Bay Bucks back up.
Oh.
Leading their division now. Baker playing good. They just kind of stomped the Chargers, who are good and have had a good defense. They just put up 40 points on them. The next closest was the Bengals, who scored 34, who offense has not been their issue. And then other than that, the only team to score 30 on them was the Ravens, which obviously high-flying team.
Yeah.
So for Tampa to put up 40 on them when they're, needing to win to secure that playoff spot, it feels pretty big. Yep. Also, the rest of their schedule, Dallas, Panthers, Saints.
Oof, that's tough.
So they're about to win out.
Yeah.
And that's pretty dope. So I got Tampa at 10.
And they have, 8 wins right now? So they'd finish with 11.
Be 11 and 6.
So they would probably be the 3rd seed if they're not already.
Yeah.
Depends on how the Rams finish out.
They'll definitely be the 3rd seed.
Which would put them up against probably the Packers.
Oh, no. That'd be so sad. I don't want to do that to Baker. But luckily it's not.
Lions or Vikings will probably be 5.
Yeah.
Lions would have to lose out for you guys to pass that.
Luckily, it won't be in Lambeau because apparently Baker is the only away quarterback to have a perfect passer rating there. So I don't want to play him in Lambeau again.
Yeah.
But, So I
get to go down to nice sunny Tampa Bay.
So, I got Tampa at 10.
I had them just outside looking in. I had moved up the Rams into my 10 spot. First time they've been in my power rankings, at least in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not.
Won 7 of their last 9, like I mentioned.
I did not feel like moving them up after that game. But no, they're definitely right there on the cusp.
After they beat the Bills last week, I was impressed with that. And then
I kind of forget about that. I don't know why.
That they beat the Bills?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously neither team was good in that San Francisco Rams game, but they found a way to win, and
that was
on the road in a divisional game. So
and that Bills win was very uncharacteristic of the Rams. They have not been that good on offense all year.
Yeah,
and then immediately fell back off.
Right,
but yeah.
I had them at 10. Then at 9, I had the Broncos. Same spot I had them in last week. Playing decent complimentary football. Like I mentioned, Nick's
real
had
complimentary.
Nick's had some
defensive touchdowns,
interception problems this week, but doesn't seem to bother him too much. Defense still playing really well. Should be getting healthier. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Hopefully Surtain plays this week, but Moss coming back will be a big deal. 2 weeks ago, their game against Cleveland.
After his cancer treatment. Randy Moss coming back.
Their backup cornerback was absolutely terrible, which he didn't play this week. And they looked a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, got them at number 9.
I also have them at 9. Really, all the same things. Bonito's a dog, like we said earlier, 2 defensive touchdowns in 2 weeks. Nick's had that rough game, but I don't think he's going to throw 3 picks too many times, even in his career. So, I don't think that's something we got to worry too much about going forward.
Yeah.
And then at number 8, I got the Steelers. They dropped down a little bit. They looked lost against the Eagles. Absolutely no run game, and Russell was just fine, but still a good team. Still got Mike Tomlin. So.
Yep. I also had the Steelers at 8. Pretty much all the same things you said.
Yeah.
Also, I just copied your list. So. No, I think we'll see what they look like when Pickens comes back.
Yeah,
hopefully this week.
Help a little bit.
Yeah, I don't trust them to make any kind of deep run, but didn't want to drop them too far. And then at number 7, I got the Ravens. You too?
Yeah.
Like we said, Derrick Henry's kind of fallen off a little bit, but Lamar is playing so good.
Yeah.
I haven't really looked at their defensive stats, but I feel like their defense has been playing a little better. So, I got them at number 7.
Was the Giants. I also got them at 7, kind of same. Lamar's been playing great. I mean, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's insane. Just barely not a perfect passer rating. I was hoping it was perfect passer rating so I could look up because he's got to be right up there, just like with his 5+ touchdown, no interception games. He's got to be right up there getting towards the top of that list because I feel like he just randomly has a couple a year for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I kind of touched on a lot of my points early on about Henry having a bit of a down game, and like I said, I was worried about that early on if he'd be still good down the stretch. But and then at my number 6, I got the Packers. Moved them up just a touch. They looked great. There was no real weakness in that. I mean, second half was hard to run the ball, but that was mostly what they were trying to do, and I think that Seattle probably knew that. Seattle's probably watched a little bit of film and knows that if Packers got a comfy lead going into the second half, they're not going to do shit the rest of the game. They're just going to hang out and win.
Yep.
And then, I talked about Edgerrin already. Oh, he's playing great. And Dobbs and Valentine. I, again, touched on all of this earlier on, so Packers at 6.
Yep. Same. I had my next two kind of went back and forth on Lions and Packers, 5 and 6. I just obviously Lions just beat the Packers last week, so
sure
didn't drop them down below them yet. Although the injuries continuing to pile up made me consider it. But yeah, Packers playing arguably second best in the conference behind the Eagles. Vikings up there too.
Yeah,
but yeah, I like what the Packers have on both sides of the ball. Seem to have enough playmakers on both sides, and like we said, love playing clean, mistake-free football.
Yeah,
Jacobs is an animal.
Looking so comfy.
So many weapons.
Maybe
Kraft is nice.
I love Kraft so much. I'm so glad he's a Packer.
Yeah, him and Laporta seem to switch spots this year. Different types of play, but
sure.
Although Laporta's been coming on a little bit as of late. Yeah.
But no, and one thing I forgot about Musgrave. He's should be coming back soon. Not that he's been phenomenal. He's had tiny little flashes,
weapon,
but
though.
Yeah. And then once Jair comes back too, that pass defense will obviously only get better.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I didn't really say much about the Lions. I did kind of already mention. I think their offense is going to be fine. I feel like their team is kind of in the same spot they were last year now. Although their defensive line is obviously far less healthy, but they should be getting Anzalone back at some point here coming up. But their pass defense was absolutely terrible last year, and they made it to the NFC Championship, so we'll see.
Likely not till playoffs. Keeping that first round bye would be nice to give him time to come back for that and not rush him back for first week, because that timetable was like right on the edge there for the wild card week. But if they keep that first round bye divisional week, unless, which we would have heard by now if he had any weird setbacks, any issues with it, he'll be good to go by then.
We've seen guys play with a broken arm and put it in a cast right afterwards, so I feel like
Nick Perry for the Packers I felt like a whole season played with a club.
Yeah, Thomas Davis played in the Super Bowl with a freshly broken arm. So I feel like regardless, he'll be back for playoffs. If he has to cast it up, then he will.
Yeah. And then my number 5 got Kansas City. I got to move up a spot. First, I'd put they finally earned a win, but that was before I really looked at the...
You put what?
Put they finally earned a win.
Oh, yeah.
But that was before I looked at the stats and realized that they
were given the ball
only had
times.
3 scoring drives off of not only their regular possessions, but then the 6 turnovers. So
it's wild when you put it like that.
That's weak sauce. You still suck. And then Mahomes got that.
Sauce played for the Jets.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. And he sucks. He had his first pick since his rookie season.
Really?
Yeah.
He's back.
Good for him. Woo. Yeah. That's about it with Chiefs. And number 4, I got Minnesota. They dominated the Bears, but they looked especially bad. Darnold, they started a little bit slow, but then Darnold got it together towards the end of the game and started playing well. And I think Jones had 9 to 13 yards on every freaking carry. He was looking good, looking like prime Jones. So if he can do that, he's definitely going to help them quite a bit in the postseason. Help pick up any slack that Darnold lays down with his inexperience and naivete.
That's a good word.
I've got the best words.
Just can't say them all on the pod.
Yeah.
At my number 4, I had the Vikings. My top 4 are Well, I don't know. I feel like I should have put the Vikings ahead of the Chiefs, but hard to drop the Chiefs down when
13-1
when they have one loss.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, Vikings.
I hate them enough. I'd take them off my list if I wasn't trying to be a little bit. I can't think of the word.
Unbiased.
Yeah, and a reputable source for football takes.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, Vikings. Same thing I said last week. I feel like they still don't really have a signature win, but keep winning. So
yeah.
what can you say about them? I mean, find out in 2 weeks when they play the Packers. I think is a good test.
Yeah,
and then Detroit, unless
God,
Detroit keeps losing 4 players a week, then we'll see. But yeah, I had the Vikings at 4, Chiefs at 3, best record in the league.
Yeah,
probably going to get the 1 seed, the bye, home field advantage, which is big for them because it's tough to win in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
And then obviously they have all the experience you could want. So, yeah, gonna be tough to pick against them in the AFC.
Yep.
But
my number 3, I got the Lions. Moved them down a couple spots. Wasn't a crazy loss. It's the Bills who've been just, I don't feel like red hot's good enough term for how well they've been. At least that offense has been playing the last few weeks. But so many injuries. We'll see if that continues their drop on the list going forward. Like we said, not super concerned about the offense, so I think they'll still be putting up points. But we'll see how that defense holds up. Luckily, no more Bills on their schedule. So should be able to shoot anybody left on that they've got to go against the rest of the season. So
yeah,
should be all right. And then number 2, I got the Bills. They, like I said, continue to dominate offensively. Defense needs to do something if they want to make a deep run, though, because giving up 42 points to anybody, I don't care how good the offense is, that's not a recipe for success. So
44 and then 42, wasn't it?
Yeah. So not great, but yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to keep putting up 48 points a game, you'll probably be okay, but I don't see that happening
in the playoffs, and you're playing all the best teams, and teams kick it up a little bit.
I mean, before this week, Detroit was something you do against Detroit. Why can't you do it in the playoffs, I guess?
Yeah.
But, I mean, whole mindset changes then, so it'll be a little bit different.
Yep. I also had the Bills at 2. Took most of the words out of my mouth. Best offense in the league, or at least one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But defense, obviously worrisome.
Yeah.
Man, I'd love to see them beat the Chiefs, but with that defense, I don't see that happening. I mean, they already did it, but regular season's obviously a completely different animal. I hope so.
They better.
And then number 1, I had the New Orleans Saints.
Yep.
Those Jake Haener pictures are just. No, had the Eagles.
Yep.
I think they're now the favorite to win the NFC, which playing in Philly is going to be tough, especially that time of year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean,
kind of bummer, but
yeah, they had a real good win this week.
I was hoping their drama was going to bring them down a little bit,
too.
but just galvanize them. So,
but yeah, unfortunately, but I mean that's a sign of a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, not too concerned about. I mean, obviously the atmosphere there is going to be something to worry about, but playing there, it's basically Lambeau, the field itself and the weather. So, as far as conditions, it doesn't give them the upper hand if it's Packers going there. But obviously, those Philly fans are crazy. But we know Packers travel well, and Philly's a lot closer than Seattle.
Yeah, if it's the Rams, the Buccaneers, the Lions, it's more of a advantage as far as the weather and field go. But
yeah, that's our hierarchy. I feel like we
Yeah, we had some movement, real movement this week.
But we did the same movement other than you moved Detroit down a lot further than I did.
Yeah, and then our number 10.
Yeah.
10, 11 probably. Swapped.
Yeah. The Rams were who I was considering.
Commanders just outside, but
I just really didn't like the
there.
Commanders win there.
Yeah.
Against the Saints. That wasn't good. That moves you down further.
Yeah.
I mean, less than if it was a loss, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll do it for this week's pod.
Yeah.
We should probably wrap it up since I can't talk.
Same. So hit that like, comment.
Hey, we got the subscribe button side wrong last week. It's on my side, right?
Nope, it's on my side.
One of those sides. Just find it and
click
it. We
got it wrong again.
It's not that. Well, not we. I did.
It's somewhere down here.
Yeah. Just click it.
Yeah. And we'll see you next week.
Well, you'll see us.
Yeah, you'll see us next week.
We won't see you.